Well, I love technology and I love AI. You need to use it to enhance your product, not be your product. So I'll see like agents around here, they'll just like type in the address, it spits out the remarks and everything. They're wrong. It's all fluffery and just no content really. It's just fluff. And I can spot those remarks a mile away and it's just so annoying. So what I'll do is like I write my entire remarks exactly as I would.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Adventures of a Real Estate Broker with Daniel Berger. Today, I'm excited to have Andrea Andrews, comes with us from Compass Rose Realty, not to be confused with Compass Realty. She works in Northeast and Central Arkansas. She's been a principal broker for 7 years, and she's been an agent for 10 years. And she, besides all the work that she does as an agent, she also has 57 agents that are in her brokerage. That's crazy number for being an agent and as a broker. But with that, thank you very much for coming on the show this week.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
What's interesting is things that people said about you is that you're one of the hardest working agents. You're available at all times. You're a machine, and you're the epitome of a high-end agent.
That's so kind. I try really hard to exceed expectations.
So I'm assuming the same people, the same things would be said about your agents would say the same thing about you, right? As their broker, that you're always available. I guess if you just leave your phone on, then you're always available.
Yeah, except for between midnight and 6 a.m., that's off limits.
So
Gotta sleep sometime.
we run our business quite the same. So what I say is I'm basically every day people can always get me. I'm like about 18/6, right? 18 hours a day. So it's similar, 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. But I do say my people can call or text me anytime they want. I'll probably answer up until about 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah, I'm up until 2 every day, but I just like to have my me time. Got to be able to
Uh,
read and research.
your me time is from 2 a.m. to 3:30 a.m. That's clearly something that's appropriate. You know what? But I can't imagine when I call another agent and their voicemail says something like, if it's after the hours of 5 o'clock, I'm not going to respond and I'll call you back the next business day or something like that. Doesn't that drive you nuts too?
Yeah, and same with like lenders and all of our industry affiliates. I like to work with people that work like I do because our clients need us on the weekends and after 5. That's usually when they're available to get stuff done.
Like, again, I feel this is a mirror. I feel like I'm talking to you're younger and better looking than me. That's the difference. Lawyers and lenders that don't work on the weekends. I'm like, that's our business. Don't be an emergency room doctor if you don't want to work on the weekends because people get sick all the time. Or don't be a doctor.
Exactly, exactly. And that's one of my like screenings before I'll work with a new person is like, how do you communicate? That's my biggest thing. I can't work with you if you're not going to talk to me at 8 at night. If I need a pre-qual right now, we got to get it hammered out. So fortunately, all my industry affiliates, they love what they do. We're excited we get to get up and do it every day and they'll answer the call whenever we need it.
I think that's part of it. So I think people that do love what they do, it's easier for them to do that. And I understand, listen, different people are at different life cycles, right? Where there are people that might have younger children, and I'm an empty nester with two dogs. So it is a little easier for me to get on the phone at 9:30 now because I'm not putting my kids to bed and reading. But again, that's okay because you could always just follow up with a text or something after that. And I think that's the part of our job, though, is to be accessible. And I understand that a lot of people, listen, a lot of people are going to say, I need to have a separation, I need to have the me time. If you're in a market where it's a seller's market and buyers are bidding on things, you don't want to hurt your client and not get a deal because you showed a property Friday night, but you're not putting it in until Sunday or Monday because you needed downtime.
Yeah, in our industry, time is of the essence. You got to be available when the action is happening. Like when my kids were younger, they're teenagers now, junior and sophomore in high school. But when they were younger, I would just time block, okay, from 5 to 7, here's our time. We're having dinner, we're going to a swim practice, or so I time blocked that as an appointment, but then I would get right back to it after that time block time. So y'all get back to you. It might be 7:30, 8:30. But I say I don't quit when I'm tired. I quit when I'm done. So when I have all the contracts written for the day, all the listings entered for the day, all the people gotten back with for the day, that's when I'm done, not at 5 o'clock.
Our business has been quite similar. Like you've been an agent. We're both been about an agent for 10 years. I'm probably a broker for about 8. Just before my 2-year anniversary, I became a broker, and you did it at your 3-year anniversary. Very similar. What career were you in, and what type of companies did you work for before you got into real estate?
Always wanted to be a real estate agent like all my life. That's what I wanted to do. And my dad, he would put me with other realtors and tell them to explain to me how difficult it really is because you have this illusion of it's all glam and easy. And so they would tell me how hard it was. It's feast or famine or dog eat dog. And so dad was like, you really just need to get a degree first. I didn't want to, but I did, and I'm glad that I did. So I got my degree in communications with an emphasis in advertising. And so that degree has really helped me a ton. But after I got my degree, I moved to Dallas, Texas area because I wanted to get a job somewhere wonderful and great. And then they were such a shortage for teachers that any degree that you had, you could be a teacher. You just had to go through like a 2-week program. And I knew at that time I was going to start wanting to have kids and wanted to be off like during summers and weekends, everything like that. So I became a teacher in Texas and I did that for several years. Then I moved back to Arkansas. And moving back to Arkansas, I took a huge pay cut from teaching, what you made in Texas from what you make in Arkansas. So I was like, I've got to do something to supplement my income. I've been teaching I taught for 10 years. At that point, I taught for 5 years in Dallas. I moved back to Arkansas. It was a huge pay cut. And it was just going to be me and the kids. I was going through divorce. It's like, I got to supplement my income somehow. And so I was like, oh, real estate. I've always wanted to do that. So I can sell a house a month or so, and that'll really help with my income a lot so I can give opportunities to my children. So then I started doing real estate and taught too. And I did that for 2.5 years, like consecutively. But then it was costing me money to be teaching because I was missing appointments and things like that. Whenever I got to that point, then I stopped teaching and became a full-time realtor. So
Yeah, I love part-time people when I'm going against them because a part-time you cannot be a part-time agent. So I guess in the world of pre-COVID or during COVID, you could do things part-time because it was a lot easier, more deals happening, so anybody could do it. Sometimes I like when the market gets a little tougher because people that think that they can do it part-time drop out and then leads to professional. It's the same thing. You wouldn't want a surgeon who's a part-time surgeon operating on you. And so clearly I don't have the skill set of a surgeon or a brain surgeon, but we do have a skill set that helps people in this process. This process is buying and selling homes or rentals. And we have to add our special sauce to the mix to make how's Andrew better, different, and special than other people. And that's why you have clients and why you have 57 agents right now. Of the 57 agents, how many of them are part-time?
oh, probably half of them, I would say. And I get it because I was in their shoes. So they're trying to transition over too. But people would say, you're just part-time agent. Even when I was teaching, and I said, oh, yeah, right. Now I would get off at 3. I would work until 9. I was working every single weekend, all weekend long. So I was like, I work both jobs 40 hours a week and then some. So I understand what it's like.
I would say that if your habits and your productivity make people feel that you're part-time, then you are part-time, right? So I do agree that a go-getter who still cares about customer service, their clients won't know because you'll still be there for them.
This
And you can be a full-time agent that clients think that you are part-time because you're not answering. And I was just on the phone just before with somebody he's thinking about relist. The house didn't sell. He's thinking about relisting. And it was just it was horrible communication with the person that he was working with. And when I looked at the person does have some listings and the person is probably full-time, but you can't not answer your phone and you can, but it's certainly something that people will see that you're not doing a good job. And it's a little bit it soils our reputation, right? In real estate. I guess the one issue with real estate is it's such a low barrier to get in, right? You don't need a degree. You only need a little bit of money to buy that, and then up you get your license and you're a real estate agent.
Yeah, it is. It's really easy to get into, really hard to stay with. The
Exactly.
failure rate is so high because people don't understand what really all goes into it.
While I love watching Million Dollar Listing and flip and fix shows, they're great. They're great television. It's not exactly what real world is like. And I think that's why people sometimes get in. They see it's the glamour of it. Oh my God, look at these open houses. They're catering it with sushi and they have rock stars, and that's clearly not what it is. I'm assuming that, so one thing though, it doesn't snow much in Arkansas, but it rains. And so you're outside in dust storms. It's raining, it's cold. Where's the lockbox? We have more apartments, so it's like the lockbox isn't always on the door, right? So it's behind the dumpster in the parking lot, and you're like, you got to be kidding me! It's snowing right now. It's not as much as the television show. So, what's your opinion on the Million Dollar Listings and those things, those shows?
Yeah. So whenever I first got started in real estate, like I would not watch any TV unless it was real estate related. Flip or flop, any of those kind of shows I would watch so that I could learn the lingo. And because when I started, I didn't know what soffit or fascia, like I didn't know all these things. I loved watching the real estate shows just to see, or even like the Selling Sunset, things like that. It's, oh, it's just 1,000 a square foot, or and here it's 150. So
Exactly.
it's neat to see the different markets, like selling like Sirhan in New York. I like to see that market. So it's interesting to see like the different lingo and the different ways they do things in the different areas. But for years, that's only TV I would watch is if I was like, okay, that's homework, because otherwise I was just hustling.
I do enjoy watching those shows too because there are interesting things in there. Or when you're watching, you're like, oh, I would have negotiated a little different. It's obviously staged, right? It's staged for production value in television, but I do think there are things in it that are interesting for sure. But in the end of the day, it is about the hard work and hustle, and I think those are the things that our clients are looking for. So I was, another line of question I want to ask. So, The Adventures of a Real Estate Broker, and I wrote a book this year called The Adventures of a Real Estate Broker and stories of the crazy things that have happened. So, you've been doing this for 10 years. What's a crazy story that's happened to you, either when you're for listing or for a buyer's agent?
And it's funny you have the book, because I've always said I would love to write a book one day called Adventures in Real Estate, just because every day is a new crazy day. It's the real
So I
estate
think you,
flippers.
so A, I think you should, and B, I co-wrote it with someone, so my co-writer could help you do that, and you should read the book. It's on Amazon for $10, but
Oh yeah.
you're a go get. So the only difference of, so what's interesting is I said that too, right? But then it's like your words need to become actions, and it's hard to. So that's the whole point. It's very hard to do it. It's hard to write it. It's hard to edit it. It's hard to. The publishing is actually the easiest part because with Kindle and you're able to do that, but it's setting your mind to something and then finishing it. So that was probably the hardest part, was doing it. But yeah, so I think you must have enough information in there that are interesting. And if you read my book, you might be like, your stories are better, and they probably are better. So put them down to writing and publish it. But so give me an example of an interesting story that you've had.
Pretty much every transaction is, and I want to show you something too. Pretty much every transaction is like a new day. I say every deal is like a snowflake. No two are the same. So each one comes with its own little bit of crazy, but the craziest one, and one that sets a good example for other agents in our office, is surveys are not required here in Arkansas. Are they required where you are? Like before you close
No.
a deal? No. Okay. In some places they are. I bought one in Florida, and it was like was required to get a survey. I always have said, we got to get them, we got to get them. One time I had this seller, and he had bought this home on foreclosure, right? And so thank goodness I did not represent him when he did that. But when he wanted to sell it, he called me to do it. So we listed the property, everything. The buyers came and they requested a survey, which I told my seller, let's definitely get a survey. It's very important to know what your boundaries are. And the survey cut through the middle of the house, like right down the middle of the roof. And it had been transferred title since the 50s this way incorrectly. The neighbor next door would not quit claim their interest in that half of the house. And so essentially he owned half the house. And that was the craziest situation I've been in.
Whatever. And so were you able to sell the house with somebody else owning the other half?
But no, we had to just cancel the listing and didn't ever get that one problem solved. Most of the time, for every problem we can come up with a solution, but with that one we could not. And it was just
There
sad
was
because
no pay, there was no payout that the guy, and of course the person didn't even know up until you told them that they owned any of that.
yeah, no, he didn't know because it had transferred title that way. And he bought it like as a foreclosure a few months before he called me to list
So if
it.
he had title, would title insurance cover that or no? Because title insurance always only covered the land, like the actual land that they own.
Yeah, I don't know how it made it through, but it had closed several times, but without a survey. Oh, because I think the legal and everything was just off, and it was off, and it just stayed off every time that it transferred because nobody got a survey.
You would think that the title insurance would have to cover that. How about did they think about moving the house a couple of feet? The feet, enough feet to put it on their property?
Oh, yeah, that would have been a good solution too. I guess he just was ready to give up at that point because
So
I
he's
don't
just he,
I don't think he even spent a lot on it because it was a repo and it was before like the surge. It was before
right.
COVID and everything. So I think he only had 10,000 in it.
So
But
is the neighbor allowed to break in and put stuff in the refrigerator if it's on their side of the property?
yeah, I don't know because technically that one would definitely probably end up in front of a judge, with all
Exactly.
that.
And you need Judge Solomon. That's going to split the baby in half,
Yeah.
and then maybe a good solution would come out of it. That's crazy. My book has some interesting stories like that as well. As we're having, I would say always real estate is changing, and especially with technology, right? Technology. I hear everyone like AI this and AI that, and I'm like, I don't think I don't think clients want to deal with computers or deal with the text bots that, texting of a fake person. What's your reaction with AI and how have you reacted when people talk about, oh, AI is the next greatest thing? And how do you work with that with your business?
Well, I love technology and I love AI. You need to use it to enhance your product, not be your product. So I'll see like agents around here, they'll just like type in the address, it spits out the remarks and everything. They're wrong. It's all fluffery and just no content really. It's just fluff. And I can spot those remarks a mile away and it's just so annoying. So what I'll do is I'll write my entire remarks exactly as I would. And then I'll say, how can I make these better? What am I missing? I say, rate my remarks and they'll say 9.4. You get a 10 out of 10 for this and a 9 out of 7 for this. And you might want to mention, like I do, but say you might want to mention things that are nearby. You might want to mention what year was constructed. It'll just give you like things to enhance what you already do. And that's how I think it's good. And then I have like uploaded plat maps into it and asked for information and asked it to find records for me, like the Chat GPT. I pay for the professional version of it. And it's done so much to enhance. Can't expect it to do the job for you, but it can enhance what you're already doing.
I still can't believe that people want to have the texting by bots to our clients. I'm like, I would never want to do that. I don't want someone to like, how many of us hate when we're like trying to get through to the utility company or the cable or anybody, and you're not even getting a real person and you're getting bots and they're not really answering. Even if they're going to get better, though, it's not a real person. And my view is right now, I think I've done like 50 something transactions this year alone. But until we're doing thousands, right? The most I'm going to do is probably 100 myself, the way that New York is. So I should be able to have personal communication with people without auto this and auto that. Because they want to use me to help represent them and to understand if a problem happens and you're just dealing with AI, potentially you're gonna have what you just had with you're gonna half the house is gonna be and half the house is not gonna be
Yeah.
yours. I do think that AI obviously has a place, and AI is just another word of communication and progress in technology. I do think, though, that where some of it's going to be done is people are going to talk into their phone and they're going to ask AI or ChatGPT or whatever, who are the best three agents I should use in Northeast Arkansas? And okay, so now the computer is going to do some searching to figure it out. And if Andrea has done X amount of transactions or there's good referrals, they see the referrals and your name keeps coming up, you have more listings. I would think that those are the things that you're going to do to help AI find you as opposed to just using AI to interact with clients.
I've already had clients say that's how they found me. They typed in like this agent in this area and then pop up. So it's important to have good SEO and good marketing and things like that. So you do show up in those searches, good reviews, lots of past sales, good client experiences. So I think that's really important to make sure you got a great online presence.
I agree. So that I've asked people as well with that, and people say, "Oh, I put it into my AI, and your name came out." I'm like, "Oh, that's great," because it is when someone calls you and it's not a personal referral. You want to know what are the things that you're doing. I also am on like in our drugs in our local drugstore. My picture in my ad is on the wipes, right? So when people are in the line to get their prescription drugs, there's like an ad there. So I love when people take a picture of it, they text it to me. So it's okay, at least people are looking at it. But I think all of those things make up our brand. And right, brand Andrea is your your Compass Rose Realty. It's the 57 agents that are out there with Compass Rose. It's your deals, it's your referrals, it's your recommendations. All right. Where I'm glad you did go to school and took up advertising because that's what you're doing, right? We're creating a brand.
Oh, absolutely. I can't tell you how much like that degree helped me be a great real estate agent and broker. And then also the 10 years of teaching that I did was just, I could never, that was amazing for being a realtor because it helped me with systems and being organized and everything like that. So grateful to have done both things.
So what teaching is interesting because obviously with 57 agents, you're a mentor, you're a teacher, you're an educator to those people, but yet we're also teachers, mentors, and educators to our clients, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Whether someone's a first time buyer, they've never gone through the process. So how do we work with them to make people feel comfortable, right? Our job is to help make people feel comfortable about their decision, not that they're being steamrolled or railroaded into buying or selling. And so I guess the more we can educate people, a more educated consumer is better for the process.
Absolutely. So I've always said that too. I'm still teaching, but just in a different way, teaching my clients, teaching my agents, teaching my brokers. So I get to do all the things that I love, advertise, teach, and real estate.
How many of your agents ask you, like, part of learning is by doing, right? And how many of your newer agents say, "Oh, I got a listing, I'm not really sure," or "Can you come with me on the listing call?" So, how much of that do you do where you'll like early on, you'll be more, like you'll share in a listing or something like that to show what you do so people can emulate and copy in a good way the things that you do.
I was going to show you too. I have a little in-house book. Okay. So that we do is like called our Atlas, and it's
Okay.
everything that you would ever need to be like an agent. It's like 400 pages altogether. All right. So in the front of it, we have an onboarding page, like everything that you need to do to get a good foundation. And then we also have a mentor, mentee, couple pages on that. And so during onboarding, you have to do a ride along with like your mentor. You have to do a ride along with your executive broker. You have to do a ride along with me so that you can see how like other people do it. Because just how I do it, maybe Kaya or Solana has a different way to do it. They pick up on the different things and do which one will work best for them. And then for our new agents, they have to go through a mentor mentee program. So the first 5 transactions they do, they have to do with their mentor, and then they split the deal 50-50. That way they don't end up in hot water. Because when you're new, you can miss the simplest little thing. And so they're there to like hold your hand, go on the appointments with you. You go on appointments with them. They might give you a referral. You just work it together. And so we've been doing that for several years, and we found that to be extremely beneficial for both people. So the mentor and mentee, they always just say, wow, what a great program, because after it, they feel like they have a really good, solid foundation.
I'm jealous because I don't have a book. I have no books. We also don't have office meetings, but we so my view is I actually created my brokerage so that I didn't have to deal with another broker. So I didn't have to be out of business. So I could really be an independent contractor that's doing. And then it just so happened that other people wanted to hang their license with me. So I don't know. I think we're about 15 or so, but probably 7 or 8 that are full time. So a lot of my time is spent mentoring, but I don't necessarily write it down. But I guess you know what? Everyone can watch my podcast and that's my book. I can give them listen to these things and you'll learn a lot, especially listening to you, Andrea. You know what you're doing. So that's good. But mine's a little different, but I do spend a lot of my time mentoring and coaching. Generally, my agents will send their offers to me so that I can look at it. Today, with one of my newer agents, we came up with they were in a multi-bid situation and for an apartment, and I was like, I think if you can increase your offer a little bit and tell them that they need to tell you by today, you might get it. And so the agent's, oh, let me think about it. So does that, puts in the offer and the agent comes back and says, okay, we accept. And so it's those things that like, I don't write it down, but it's as you listening to it and saying, oh, okay, there's a couple of offers. Let's see, where is it? Okay, who's your client? Ultimately, and it also was a property that had fallen out of contract. So these people are tired. They did have offers, but what's more, I think we are the higher price, but I think what they care more about high price is that we're going to get to the closing table because they've probably already wasted 3 months with another offer that fell apart. And it's very important, right, to understand what people's needs are because you can win things without being the highest if you're a professional and meet their needs or their top needs, right? It's not always money.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's a lot of different things. Like you said, how quickly can you get to the closing table? I had one, it was my first investment property I ever bought ever. And I knew that it had been under contract twice and had fallen through because of financing and appraisal issues. So I knew that they were ready to just be done with it. So I really lowballed and I got it just by knowing, hey, they're probably sick of being under contract and ready to probably just offload it. And they were. And that was my first rental ever. Yeah.
There's definitely everyone, you know what, something that's on the market for 130 days, maybe something changed in the last 3 days that makes them need to sell. Maybe they had a job transfer and they listed it too high. But now the house is empty. So now they don't want to have to keep paying each month. There are so many like you said, I like your comparison to a snowflake, right? Where every deal is different. And clearly we have our past history of our knowledge base, but certainly understand that it's not a cookie cutter approach and everything's not different. That's why I love real estate, right? Because it's not monotonous. Like so you are right for having a handbook because a handbook is a roadmap and a guide. Mine is more like what's happening and then trying to come up with strategies. But your strategies need to be based off of the past and also what is rational and what makes sense. And I think what's interesting is in our business, it's more art than it is science, right? Because you're dealing with people's like personalities, and personalities are this strange thing that you don't every day might be different, right? And what are the things that you can do to make those personalities out there feel like, you know what, I want Andrea to list my house. I want her to represent me, or I'm going to accept Andrea's offer because I know we're going to close.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We try to get the listings and things like that by being the best that we can at everything that we do, the best pictures, the best marketing, the best remarks, the best exposure, like anything we can do to exceed everybody's expectations besides just the bare minimum. We want to be way over the top.
So I really view my agents as independent contractors. I view them that it's my job is to help them grow their business. So I don't demand that my agents take professional pictures. Every single one of my listings is professional pictures, even rent everything, right? Videos, pictures, it depends. Are you more demanding and have like minimums that they must do these things?
Yes, we have an in-house professional photographer that our agents have access to. He does 2 shoots a day, edits, uploads, and there we go. He's commercial Joan license, and so that's someone that's on our salary. And so the agents pay like $100 per shoot if it closes. If it doesn't closes, they're not out. If they use Joan, it's
Wow.
150. Yeah, that's a really good.
I'm in New York. I need Arkansas pricing.
He's on salary. If we
I
hired a
know that.
photographer, oh, it
I
would be
know
way.
that's amazing. I wouldn't do that, but I love my photographer, and she's an independent contractor, and I feel like she's on my payroll because every time I need her, she's there for me. So I run my business a little different. I have no employees, so we probably did 150 transactions last year for 80 million in sales. No employees, because what happens is once you have employee one, the laws are a lot different. So
We
so
have three. We have three employees and then a lot of 1099s that are not agents.
right. 1099s, I love, right? Everyone's a 10. I'm different because I'm the owner, but yes, 1099s is the way to go. You can pay for someone for more. So is your photographer actually a W-2 employee or a 1099 employee?
We have 3 W-2 employees. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
We did
It's
about 600 transactions, but only 85 million last year.
right.
The market is so different.
100, right, 100%. But I also probably do about last year, probably 50% of the business. I want to do less, right? But again, I'm a little different because I created the brokerage so that I could be the broker, right? So the split, so clearly I have overhead by doing that and all that other stuff. But I figured if that was what if my overhead can be what my splits would be, then I'm fine. But I also love, and you were a school teacher. My mom was a school teacher, actually, in the town that I grew up. So my whole family, when we go to Thanksgiving, everyone's a teacher.
Yeah,
And
it's the
so
same.
I'm not a school teacher. I am a teacher. And while I
Yes.
love selling and I feel that I mentor and teach my clients about the process, but I also have the agents where I am always available and, and as much as an agent puts in is what I'll put in. So that's interesting too, because when we talk about our job as a broker is to help our agents with their business. And sometimes I've had to say to people, I can't care more about your business than you care about your business. And
I
don't you
say that
feel
all the time.
right? Where you feel like that why are you spending more effort and why are you losing sleep over something that someone else did or what they're not doing? An example is I generally, for my open houses, for my listings, I generally will conduct open houses and I let my team fill the spots because that's how you're out in the field. That's how you're talking to buyers. Buyers hopefully will come in and then that buyer will be like, you know what? I really liked what that person said during the open house. I want to work with that person. That's one way to do it. And if a newer agent's not investing their time and effort to open houses, that's the business.
Exactly. Got to get out there and meet people. And those are active buyers looking for property. I still personally do 2 open houses every Sunday, 1 to 2 and 3 to 4. I do live videos there. And then all the listings that I have, I say, hey, who wants to host these open houses? And a lot of agents do that. And they use that to market the property, the brokerage, and themselves. So it's a great opportunity.
Yeah. Mine, I think it depends. So I do open houses. I was last week, 3 to 6 p.m. on a Thursday. We were at like the inner city of the Bronx. I have 2 buildings that I'm selling. And then 11 to 1 on Saturday because there's apartments, people are living there. It's harder. The only showings are really during the open houses. So I did it, right? I'm the broker. I did it and I'm out it's cold or whatever. And you do what you got to do because you're also showing the client who I'm listing for, hey, I'll be out there. And so
Yes.
I
Yes.
certainly do that. I think it really depends as we have more listings, then maybe there's less people available and I'll make sure in some of my listings, they know we're going to do 1 or 2 open houses per weekend, at least in the beginning for their houses. And so if I have volunteers, great. If not, I'm going to do it as well. So sometimes I'll also do it, especially sometimes the owner's going to be there. I'll do them, but I'm really more there just like to say hello and stuff like that. Like I'm not the person that's doing the sign-ins. And who's ever there with me, I want them to have all the buyers. I definitely try to help. I do dual agency, but I don't mind. I much prefer when you're the agent, you're still the dual agent.
Yeah.
But I want my agents, they're putting in the effort, and my job is to try to help them. The more that I can make them profitable, then the more that they'll be able to do this long term and full time.
Absolutely. And that's a great way to do it, open houses. Another way we do it is give leads so that they can build up their client base and then those people can refer them to people. And so that's a huge thing we offer here too.
So what I'm not great at is, we spend over $12,000 a month on leads for
Yeah.
our small number of agents. But do you do an analysis of what agents are closing, and then do you give more leads to the ones that are closing better?
So we have so many lead sources. So if the agent is really, Abraham, can you grab this for me? We have a fire. Can you grab that for me from Adam? Okay, we have a ton of different lead sources. So some agents like Shalana and Kaya, they're here in the office, right? So they're both really hard workers. And they have like different like lead sets. I'll say, okay, I know Shalana can handle this and Kaya, she can handle like this whole program of leads. And Shalana can be on this whole program of leads, but there's like general leads that we just give out in the group that are like, they may be the ones that are like part of the 5% conversion rate. It's just like, these are just leads coming in. But if it's like someone that called me and they're wanting to do like a $600,000 listing, I'm going to hand that over to someone that I know is going to take great care of them and represent our brand the best way. But just like general, just the leads that are coming in that nobody's talked to or anything, we'll just put those out in the group. But yeah, I definitely see who is closing
right.
it.
So that's probably where I would need to be better at, right? Where I should probably be doing better tracking of the leads that come in, who's closing them, and then giving more out. The way that the leads come in is, listen, some are, you can tell some are better and some need a lot of work, but our job, it's a hard job, right? So some of the leads that come in off of listings, 5%, right? 5%. It depends. Different lead sources have different ratios of closing. Obviously, if one of your past clients calls you and says, I have a friend, they want to buy a house, that one's is probably 90%, right? Or 80%.
Yeah, yeah.
So I get, but it is, I think, important to, and then also as brokers, if we feel that our agents are not doing the greatest job in converting, then how do we then coach them? That is our job, to try to coach them, to get them to be better, so that clients feel comfortable with working with them, and that you feel comfortable also giving them a certain type of lead.
Yeah, definitely. That's why we have that really strenuous mentorship program. The ride-alongs and all the onboarding is it's tough. So that way they're going to go out there with the Compass Rose Realty standard. And if they don't do that and they don't show up and they don't finish out, then they just going to have to find somewhere else. But a lot of them just don't go inactive. Like it's the end of the year, and that's when you have a lot of turnover because we have like license renewals, CE's got to be. So there's people that have come in here, signed up with their license, and then we've assigned them a mentor and never seen them again. And then there's some people that come in there, they sign their license, they're in here every day, ready to go first thing in the morning, like ready for business. Those people can train them and coach them, mentor them, and get them to the closing table.
Yeah, people definitely, it's a full-time job. That's clients are going to want people that are full-time. What do you see, Andrea, is the next 6 months to a year? What's coming down the pike with changes in real estate, changes in technology, our economy? Obviously, everything's different, right? So you care more about Northeast and Central Arkansas than you care about New York.
I care about New York too, though.
But I'm saying, but like from your business standpoint, right? And what are you seeing now? What are you seeing in the near term?
Okay, I was just going over, we do have weekly meetings every Wednesday. We are just going over that this week. And I was telling our agency, the book Shift by Gary Keller is amazing. I don't know if you've read it, but it's so good. I had our agency, we read a book a month, but I had our agency read that like when COVID first started. And that book was written decades before COVID. It talks about market shifts and the pendulums and all that stuff. And I see that right now with like during COVID, we have 2 amazing years. We'll probably never see anything like that again. But then now we've had almost 3 years, 2.5, 3 years of the pendulum on the other side. It's been a little bit more sluggish and difficult. Interest rates are high, but guess what? It's got to swing back. It always has and always does. So what I feel for 2026 is amazing things. There are a lot of new programs being talked about and discussed, plus interest rates are finally starting to ease. They're not bad. We know that historically, but they're just not 3. And I don't think they will be again, but I think they'll be low enough to where buyers will want to get out there and hit the market and sellers will want to sell. So I think for 2026, it's going to be absolutely amazing. I think that pendulum's going to start swinging back the other way.
See, I actually think interest rates dropping and being as low as they were was horrible for buyers, because a buyer, they couldn't buy houses, right? You would have 10, 15 people bidding on it. And so what happened? People bid up houses. So houses that, let's say, were worth 600,000 in reality would be paid for at 700,000. Well, if you're a seller, that's fantastic, but it's horrible for a buyer. I actually think in higher interest rates is the best time for a buyer to buy, because when interest rates, as you said, they ebb and flow. And when they go down, then you can refinance. You can't fix that you overspent $100,000 on a house that's worth 600 when you paid 7. But that if you get the house at 600 with 9% interest, when the interest rates go to 5%, you can refinance. So
I called it the perfect storm, because even though they're buying at this inflated price, the interest rates are so low, like their payment would be like it was at that lower price house. So I call it was just the perfect storm. It was great for sellers and buyers too.
In that case, it's fine. but you can't move, right?
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't be able to get a type of house like that at the price that you're paying going
No.
forward. So you're stuck in that house. That's what's happening now, right?
Yeah.
People that bought 5 years ago
Me.
I can't sell because oh my God, I have a 3% interest rate and now it's 7% or 6.5%. And if I get a bigger house now, in any event, I would say that there's always good and bad. And I think everything,
Yeah.
like you said, is cyclical. And our job is that there's always going to be buyers and sellers. And so you just have to be the best Andrea that you can be, and that you're going to work with buyers, you're going to work with sellers. People die and they have to sell houses. People move and they have to sell houses. And when people see your name and when they put into their AI, who's the best realtor in Northeast Arkansas, they're going to say, oh, Compass Rose Realty. So that's really all you can do is every day hard work. And there's always going to be an ebb and flow. And I think people who made X amount of money 5 years ago or whatever, they should be lucky that they did. Hopefully they banked some of it because
Hopefully,
that's
yeah.
not going to be what it is every single year. And I would say it's be consistent. Don't be foolish, right? Don't add as brokers, we have to make sure that we're not adding overhead just to add overhead, right? Because you don't know what tomorrow is going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why you got to make good investments and make hay while the sun shines. We say when all that was so good, I got several investment properties, commercial, short-term rentals, long-term rentals, and that way I know that I'll still be okay even when the times are a little bit slower. But even though these last 3 years they haven't been bad, we've done great. They just have to do it in a different way.
I'm knocking on wood because every year it's gotten better. Every single year it's gotten better. Ultimately, it is what it is, right? We don't make the market, but and I also think that there's so many naysayers out there about, oh, the negative this and the negative that, as opposed to be like, there's always curveballs. Like you said, it was snow, right? We're dealing with snowflakes and put your mittens on or whatever and be prepared, but understand that today's going to be a little different than it is in 6 months and a year, and just be flexible, right? So the more that we can flex, the more that we're able to handle what comes our way. And it's not going to always be the same. There's always change.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to know just how to shift and pivot and work it however you can the best way, because like you said, someone's always going to be having to move for whatever reason, job, people are always going to be buying and selling.
Yeah. Days like today, interviewing you and chatting, I am just lucky I'm not in Arkansas, because when people said, why would I use you over Andrew? I'm like, we're the same. So I wouldn't
Yeah.
be, I would lose. I would lose. But I love talking to people from around the country. You clearly understand what customer service and high-end customer service is about. You're being a teacher, an advocate for your clients, an advocate for your agents. Those are all the good things about real estate. And while we're not doing, maybe you're lucky that we'll have selling Arkansas, and then you guys,
No,
and you can be
no,
featured on
not
that.
here. I've had people ask us to be a part of those things, and no way. I don't have time. Drama. That's too much drama for me.
I just saw something the other day where in one of those shows, they said that the person made $1 million last year, not selling, but in their Instagram and their social media. So
Yeah.
those shows, they don't really do that much business, but for the most part, some do. But it's more celebrity and television. And I will say they make really good television. So
Yeah, it does. We can't wait for the new seasons to come out
exactly. So I think
every
it's
time.
great that we enjoy it, and we do appreciate that they're out there making that for us.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
we're the ones that have to work our butts off, right, to buy and sell and all of that. But I think you can learn from watching those shows. Sometimes you learn what not to do, but
Absolutely. Yes.
there are things that we learn. Andrea, thank you so much for coming on the show this week. I wish you the best. I wish you and your team of 57 agents a great this year and a great next year. So thank you so much for coming on.
Okay, yes, it's so great to meet you. And if I ever have anybody headed your way, I'll be sure to think of you.
And same. So if you want, you can send. Why don't you let everyone know what your web address is? So if people are looking in Northeast and Central Arkansas, they can contact you guys.
Okay, it's just the name of our company, Compass Rose Realty LLC.com.
Excellent. Everyone, thank you again. It's Daniel Berger for the Adventures of a Real Estate Broker. Thank you for coming on, and I thank Andrea for coming on this week.
Thank you for having me.
If today's stories opened your eyes, wait till you see what's next. Hit the video on screen to join the next adventure with Daniel Berger.